Hello and welcome back to the Chargers Check-In. My name is Cecilia, here to go over everything pertaining to this upcoming Steelers matchup in Los Angeles. So, first of all, this division race is really heating up. Denver is taking a pretty decisive lead at this point. They beat the Raiders 10-7 in what I would describe as a pretty pathetic game from both offenses. Both defenses were fine, and the entire Denver defensive front did an amazing job. They got 6 sacks. It is incredible what they can do. They worked really hard, but Bo Nix works harder to make them lose. I cannot believe that he only got 2 interceptions. He had at least 5 turnover-worthy plays. Multiple times, the ball just bounced off of Raiders defenders' hands. You know, when you're going against Geno Smith, good enough is good enough. I keep saying, Bo Nix is going to figure it out. He has the traits. He can figure it out. He just needs to, be a little more accurate when he's throwing more than 15 yards. He still hasn't figured it out. I don't know. And this Denver team, I really think they'll go as far as he'll take them because he has, I would say, the best roster in football. He's playing behind the best offensive line in football. His defense is incredible. And somehow, after all that, he only manages to get the ball in Brock Bowers' hands once. It's kind of mind-blowing because Denver should be what the Colts are in terms of just being an absolute buzzsaw. That's what Denver should be. And it's not what they are because Bo Nix throws a lot of picks and he makes some dumb plays. I think sometimes he hesitates to run. I don't know. But either way, Denver is in the lead and they are ahead of the Chargers by a substantial amount. So this Steelers game has become a lot more important. It's also important for the Steelers. I think if they win this game, they probably win their division. It's going to be hard for Baltimore to overcome this kind of deficit. If they lose, Baltimore's still in it, and Baltimore has a relatively easy schedule going forward. So both teams have a lot at stake here. So let's take a look at the injury reports this week. All right, so on the Steelers side, not a whole lot has changed from last week. It does look like tight end Connor Hayward isn't going to play. He didn't practice. Same with linebacker Cole Holcomb. Wide receiver Scott Miller. I don't think any of those are that big of a deal. I do think the safety Jabril Peppers being out, kind of a big deal. It puts Jalen Ramsey decisively at safety. We'll see how that goes. That's what Mike Tomlin said that they're going to do. And Corey Trice Jr. is also out. So not too big of a deal. Darnell Washington is back. He didn't practice on Wednesday, but he was a full participant on Thursday. So we have no reason to think that he won't be back. Not too much of a change on the Steelers side from the previous week. As for the Chargers, I think the most notable thing is that Josh Harris, the long snapper, was a full participant in practice. So hopefully that means that he can play. That's definitely what it's trending toward. And if he can play, I think that makes a big difference for the special teams unit. I think that means J.K. Scott doesn't have to work as hard and Cam Dicker can kick a little more confidently. That at times has been a factor in whether or not the Chargers go for it on 4th down. I hope that the takeaway isn't that let's be more conservative. But from a long distance, let's give Cam Dicker a chance to hit a 55-yarder, a 58-yarder, anything under like 63 yards. I'm giving Cam Dicker a chance to get because he can do it. It's just a matter of can his team block it up for him. Other than that, Deshaun Hand was limited, but they opened his window to return. He was on IR. If he can be back, that would be a really big deal. We'll get into how the Steelers like to play, but a good, stout run defender is a really good thing. Dean Leonard is back in full, and that is a big deal because we no longer have Jasir Taylor, as we talked about last time. And Mekhi Becton is limited. Oh, if Mekhi Becton doesn't play, I am scared. I'm scared for Herbert's life because this Steelers front is fierce. So let's get into the state of the Steelers. This is the Mike Tomlin experience. Just like in most years, the Steelers are kind of squarely mediocre with a ceiling that is much higher, which means on certain games they just pop off, but they aren't reliably really good. They're going to be competing with the Ravens for the division, which has surprisingly turned out to be one of the weakest divisions in football. The AFC North just has not worked out for any of those teams how they imagined. But Mike Tomlin has been very successful in some ways. The Steelers are always competitive. There's always a high floor. They're never going to lose, more than a certain number of games because they just always play competitive. They have a very clear identity with a physical, overwhelming defensive front. That's what they've been for a long time. And, they're right on the cusp of being a playoff contender. They're right there. as they always are. Now, I think Mike Tomlin has struggled a lot to find a quarterback that works for him after Ben Roethlisberger. If you look at that list, he's been through so many quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers provides a really high floor to the offense, which tends to score around 25 points per game. Their performance against Indianapolis is really a lesson in what a good defensive line can do for you, because the Steelers' offense is really good. The Steelers' defense is overall bad. But when you have a good defensive front, they can cover up for a lot of issues behind them, because sometimes, with what a sack is, it doesn't matter what your coverage is if your defensive line gets to the quarterback before he can make sense of anything. And that is the kind of defensive line that they have. They have overwhelming pressure from every part of the defensive line. The Steelers are coming off of a big win against the Colts. It was absolutely an upset win. They shouldn't have been able to do that, but they got a lucky break that led to a touchdown on special teams, and that made all the difference, because that was the difference in score. And, that makes me nervous, because the Chargers special teams is not looking great after last week. I don't feel great about them, and, getting rid of Jasir Taylor doesn't help that. I will reiterate that I don't think he's like an amazing gunner, but he's good enough that he is often the one double teamed, and he has made some good plays in the past. On that touchdown against Shamir DK, he simply slipped, and I don't know. I think a lot of people read into that touchdown and go, everyone must be bad on this unit. I think Jasir Taylor was okay. We will see what his replacements have to offer. Now, let's talk about how the Chargers can beat the Steelers, because it absolutely is possible. I know a lot of places are favoring the Chargers to win. That kind of blows my mind with the state of the Chargers offensive line compared to the Steelers defensive line, but it is what it is. I would consider it an upset win if the Chargers pull this off. And when it comes to handling the Steelers defense, they have the worst fourth quarter point differential in the NFL, and they've given up 30 points or more in like 4 games this year. They managed to hold the Colts down, so clearly they have it in them. They clearly can do it, but somehow this is the year that the Steelers have decent quarterback play, solid offense, and a bad defense. So on the defensive line, a lot of names to know. Obviously, TJ Watt. There's also Nick Herbig, Cameron Hayward. We are going to hear their names called multiple times. They all can get after the quarterback. The stats are a little bit misleading in terms of a lot of their production over the year, because a lot of them have missed time. I'm not sure that Steelers fans love the TJ Watt contract at this point, but he is still a really good player, and we're going to hear his name called on the broadcast, because he reliably makes a few big plays. They also have that rookie defensive tackle out of Oregon, Derek Harmon. He was taken number 21st overall. He can wreck some games. We've seen how he can take on multiple blockers in the run game, do a lot of the dirty work, but he can also collapse the pocket from the interior as a 3 technique on the right. So he is probably going to be the problem of Mekhi Becton or whoever they decide to play on that side. It could be Trey Pipkins and Mekhi Becton on that side. It could be, there's all sorts of combinations. I'll be interested to see how they approach this now that they have Trevor Penning and with Bobby Hart continuing to be out. But I definitely don't want Kamani Vidal running in Harmon's direction. I don't want to see that. I would rather run him around Trevor Penning, assuming Penning's on the left tackle side, then see Kamani Vidal go against these huge guys on the interior. That's not a matchup that looks good. So I think with handling this defensive line, they need to get the ball on the outside quickly. That could be a quick pitch. That could be screen passes. It could be some sort of reverse, but the Steelers do a really good job of creating a pocket quickly. And so it's hard for running backs to escape that on the outside. And so they may need to get creative as to how they do it, but I don't know that they can afford to just run the ball up the middle like they have in the past. It hasn't worked out well in the past, and I think the Steelers' defensive line is certainly not going to let them do that effectively. The Steelers are averaging 3.4 sacks a game. It's not the best in the league, but it's up there, and your average offensive line is better than the Chargers at pass protection, and so their whole strategy on defense is going to be get after Justin Herbert, because they know if Justin Herbert has time, he can tear them apart. The right side and the interior are they're gonna need help. They need tight end chips, they need pass protection. Kamani Vidal has done a good job of that. I want to see Tucker Fisk out there damn near every play, run, play, or pass. I want to see him out there. Having a plan around quick passes, but also the play action can be really effective. They do still allow the most passing yards per game in the league with 278. That's a lot. So getting after the quarterback can do a lot, but it's not going to do everything. So if we can get guys out in space, if we could get Ladd and QJ to make a few guys miss. I think that can make something reliable. I don't know if they're going to bring Will Dissly back into the action, but I think this would be a good opportunity for that. Like I said, more chip help, but also Will Dissly is a reliable outlet for Justin Herbert. I know that we like to see everything go to Oronde Gadsden. That makes sense. He is a better pass catcher, but I think Will Dissly is better at blocking and executing chips. I think either plan could work. I think we'll probably see them both out there at different points. The Steelers' coverage where the ball isn't thrown looks really lost. Like a lot of guys look out of place. Like I said, they are depending entirely on their defensive line. And a lot of the time, you'll look back at a play and you go, a smarter quarterback would have found the hole over the middle, and that would be it. And I think Justin Herbert is that smarter quarterback. I think Justin Herbert can tear up this defense if his offensive line just gives him a second to let things develop, and that is a big if. So the Chargers need to max protect against this defensive front. The Steelers are solid in the red zone, a similar rate to the Chargers defense in terms of red zone touchdown percentage. They're both around 50%. When they are blitzing, they're very vulnerable to those short throws to the flats. I think the Packers did a really good job taking advantage of that. That could absolutely be a Quentin Johnston role. He hasn't shown as much lately, so I think coverage will be heavier on the side of Oronde Gadsden and Ladd McConkey and potentially Keenan. So I'd like to see QJ take advantage of that. Missed tackles are a problem on the Steelers defense, which is very surprising for a team that has such a physical identity on the defensive side. But Kamani Vidal has shown that once he gets his feet going, he has really good balance under contact. He's hard to bring down. So that's something that the Chargers could take advantage of. Like I said, those outside runs give him a chance to get some momentum before he gets contact. I think that could be a good opportunity. Let's talk about how to handle the Steelers offense. A lot of the time, their running backs, they like to bounce outside when the gap isn't there. They do a good job of making plays happen even if the blocking isn't there. The Chargers absolutely have to set the edge. That's going to be really important in this game. Something they're doing better now that Denzel Perryman and Khalil Mack are back. Overall, everyone has performed better at setting the edge when those two are there. Deshaun Hand will play a big impact on the interior that will force the running backs to go to the outside. I'm interested to see that matchup, and I could easily see this run game just be a contest of which defense plays more physical at the second level, because both teams have at times missed tackles and both teams are depending on the run game to get their offense going. Chargers defense needs to show up at third down opportunities, and Aaron Rodgers tends to look for a one-on-one matchup in third down because he knows he's accurate and he knows he has DK Metcalf. Multiple times I've seen Aaron Rodgers just pre-snap, look and see that DK Metcalf is one-on-one, and then just snap the ball, immediately throw it to him. DK Metcalf makes a tough contested catch and gets 2 yards, and it's good enough. That can't happen. We cannot afford to allow a one-on-one matchup with DK Metcalf because we don't have the bodies for that. We don't have some huge overpowering corner. I mean, yeah, put Cam Hart on him, but DK Metcalf is a little different. The Steelers' offense is one of the higher red zone scoring percentages in the league, and I think the defense has been up and down, kind of hit or miss in different games against that. I think the key is to end the drives early. Don't let them get into a rhythm. Don't let Aaron Rodgers get comfortable. And DK Metcalf needs double coverage in the red zone because he has been too important for them. So there's definitely a path to victory here for the Chargers. Like I said, I consider them underdogs going into this match. I really do. And when you're underdogs, the most important thing you can do is minimize mistakes, and that looks like minimizing penalties. The offensive line has repeatedly had so many penalties, and that makes me nervous because one of the issues with Trevor Penning is his penalties, and some of his penalties are those stupid, like, T.R. Tart kind of penalties where you're like, what do you mean you're slapping Travis Kelce right now? What? This is why we don't get we don't get a touchdown on this drive because you slapped someone. He has that kind of streak, and I'm not saying that that's always a bad thing. That means he plays tough and physical and all that, but we really can't afford that this week. And I also think the Chargers need to be aggressive. They need to continue to go for it on fourth down, go for it in the red zone. If it's fourth and less than 5, I'm okay with them going for it in the red zone because you're going to win that field position game. Maybe you don't benefit from it this drive, but you'll benefit from it next drive. And then on those, fourth and whatevers at midfield, let's see what Cam Dicker can do. I would like to see him get those really deep field goal opportunities instead of the Chargers being a little too conservative for it. The Colts largely lost to the Steelers because of having stupid penalties and a ridiculous amount of turnovers. I think a clean game gives the Chargers their best chance. Doesn't mean there won't be an interception or a fumble or something like that. But Justin Herbert needs to take care of the football. He had that one stupid turnover last week that, to me, that was maybe his second turnover of the year that was his fault. And so if we can just stop having players be able to get their hands up on the ball, and I don't really blame Justin Herbert for that, at least not most of the time, we should be able to play a clean game. That being said, please don't be mad at me. I'm sorry. I'm always going to be honest with you guys, and I am predicting that the Steelers are going to win 24-19. I don't know exactly how it's going to happen, but I don't know. I would love for the Chargers to prove me wrong by playing a clean game, taking chances, getting Justin Herbert in a rhythm, and slowing down Aaron Rodgers in the offense. I'm just not sure. So give me your guys' score predictions. I would love to know what you guys think. Obviously, the Steelers are not a team without weaknesses, but they are a team with a strong defensive line at rushing the passer, and we have Bradley Bozeman and Jamari Sawyer, and that's all we got. So give me your score predictions in the comments. This is going to do it for me. My name is Cecilia, and this has been the Chargers Check-In. Please subscribe if you like what you have seen, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for being here.